Stop it. Whoever you think I am. You got the wrong guy.
You were always the wrong guy. Till you weren't.
Scott used to beg me to wear this suit. So did Storm and Beast. But I couldn't have him thinking I wanted to be there. And it was too late.
It's only 9 people, but my entire world is right here in this picture. And I have no idea how to save it alone, but you know how to save them.
Are you ready? Fuck yeah, I'm ready. I'm the Wolverine.
I'm back.
About damn time. You holding? I'm all out of devil's dandruff and I'm shaking like an angry vibrator.
Thank you, Al. We have company.
That's Wolverine.
You're damn straight it is. Disney brought him back. They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel dropped a huge Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. They're calling it the final trailer because the movie comes out next week. There are a couple really big cameos that they reveal on this, confirming some of my theories from a long time ago. One of my theories from like last year. And it is the perfect example of how every single actor and every single director involved in making movies like this lie about what's actually going on during the movie when people ask them. There are so many Easter eggs during this, like there's a bunch of Spider-Man scenes during this trailer too, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, we're doing a giveaway for movie tickets. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and post your favorite moment from this trailer in the comments. Just starting with the biggest reveals in the trailer first, probably the biggest thing is the X-23 cameo scene, confirming my X-23 theory from a long time ago. I can't even remember the first time I talked about this. They've been talking about making this movie for like the last couple of years, like Ryan Reynolds was writing the movie a couple years ago. I can't remember when my first X-23 theory was, but eventually people did start asking Dafne Keen, hey, are you going to be in this movie? Because she was promoting a bunch of the other stuff that she was doing that was coming out, like the Star Wars Acolyte series, and she was like, no, I'm not in it. Here's the thing though, Dafne Keen did an interview recently, like right after the trailer dropped. It sounds like they timed the interview for the actual trailer coming out so that she could talk about coming back as X-23 in the movie. She said that Andrew Garfield, of all people, was her inspiration for lying to people, like trying to hide the fact that she was actually in the movie. And it kind of amounted to the same thing too, like people figured out early on that Andrew Garfield was going to be back as his version of the Amazing Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home. People assumed after they saw the first couple of trailers, oh yeah, X-23 probably coming back, and it's probably going to be in this particular scene here around the campfire when he says that he's no hero, kid. Most of us assumed that the kid that he was talking to was going to be a version of X-23, just an older version, because Dafne Keen looks so much older than she did during the original Logan movie. Here's the thing though, in the actual cameo scene in the trailer as we see it, she's part of what seems like that resistance group with Elektra, who's going to be in the movie. Jennifer Garner is supposed to have a cameo scene that they revealed a long time ago, but we haven't actually seen her full on in a trailer yet. Not every variant from the X-Men movies, the other Fox Marvel movies, other like non-Fox Marvel movies as well too, is supposed to be on Cassandra Nova's evil X-Men team there. So there's like a band of resistance fighters made up of other legacy Marvel characters. This is also probably why we're seeing so much other legacy Marvel stuff being promoted in a lot of stuff that's coming out right now too. Just funny promos, even video games too. Speaking of which, thank you to Marvel Strike Force for sponsoring this video. They're currently celebrating the release of Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine movie by inviting you to their first pool party featuring Deadpool, Wolverine, of course, a bunch of other Marvel characters. There'll be 4 weeks worth of events featuring 3 different difficulties, tons of rewards, gear, and character shards up for grabs. New Marvel characters will be added on a regular basis, and because of all the Deadpool and Wolverine hype this month, they'll also be adding the Illuminati. Assemble your team, mix and match characters from all over the Marvel multiverse to dominate single-player games, enjoy different types of game modes like campaigns, blitz, arena play. There's also the Alliance War, a massive weekly battle, raids, the Cosmic Crucible, and PvP play that you can have against your friends tournament style. Celebrate the release of Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine movie by unlocking the Deadpool and Wolverine characters in-game for free using the limited-time promo code MUTANT by clicking on the QR code in the video here. I'll put the link down in the description below, and on that you can enter the promo code MUTANT to get all this free stuff. You can also unlock Deadpool's new costume based on the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie just by playing during this month's pool party event. No running around the pool, and everybody have an amazing time. A lot of people's next question, will X-23 wear a version of that yellow Wolverine X-23 suit from the comics too? Because if they're making such a big deal about Hugh Jackman wearing a version of the yellow suit from the comics, wouldn't X-23 also do the same thing too? Based on her interview, I actually think that she does at some point in the movie, because this is what her interview actually says. She says, "That's how I found her," again, talking about coming back as the character. "There was a lot of looking for her," as I'm paraphrasing what she says here. "She was just kind of in me," like she's talking about the character. "The first thing I did for Deadpool," talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, "was stunt training before I shot anything. I put on the costume and was like, oh, she's back." Meaning that she filmed a whole bunch of action stunts, so she does have some fight scenes, and she put on a special suit for it too, which I think is meant to be a version of her yellow suit from the X-23 comics. In just minutes after they released the trailer, Daphne Keane posted this picture of X-23 in her yellow suit on her Instagram account, so I think it's just confirmation that she is wearing the suit. One of the next big things is probably all the Spider-Man references when you see him driving in that minivan and Wolverine starts yelling at him, "Stop doing that," and he's making the thwip, thwip, thwip sound.
Stop it.
That means that Deadpool knows a version of Spider-Man. The question is, which version of Spider-Man, and why does he know him in this scene here? My assumption is that just means that there's meant to be a Spider-Man inside the universe he came from, which is meant to be the main X-Men universe, or a version of it. I know there's all kinds of questions about the whole Colossus of it all, like which version of Colossus is he? If he's in the original X-Men universe, then why isn't the original version of Colossus? My assumption is that it's sort of like a sacred timeline kind of thing. That's the way they're treating it, where his universe he comes from is the main X-Men universe, but like a very, very slightly different version with a different version of Colossus. But like everything else is meant to be the same in his universe, because the way they put the trailer, they make it seem like the events of Logan happen in his universe at some point. The reason why you have characters like X-23 from after the events of her version of the Logan movie in this with a younger version of Wolverine is because this is on the Void. I'll talk about why they confirmed that later. There's like a couple scenes in the trailer where you see them confirm that this is meant to be the Void planet from the Loki series. When the TVA prunes things, which we actually see in this trailer, it prunes things from all across the timeline to the same place and time. So you have stuff from the distant past, from the present, from the future, all being pruned to the same point in time. So it just means, for instance, that a version of X-23 who was older, like after the events of her version of Logan, got pruned at some point, and this is a variant of that character. Getting back to the Spider-Man of it all, I think that in Deadpool's universe, that just means that there is a Spider-Man and he's run into him at some point or learned who he is. Because it's Deadpool, maybe he does know who's under the mask, or maybe he doesn't know who's under the mask, but there just is a Spider-Man who's active in his original universe. The real question, though, is which version of Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland? Now, because they're bringing Deadpool in this version of Wolverine into the MCU, obviously you think that Tom Holland MCU might be on their minds. I am sure there'll be some jokes about him at some point during the movie, but if we're talking about actual cameo scenes, I don't know that there's an actual version of Spider-Man who does cameo in this, maybe just jokes about Spider-Man. They've only screened about 40 minutes worth of this movie for anybody, and all the trailer footage comes from that first 40 minutes in the movie, meaning that 2/3 of the movie nobody has seen and has any idea what's in that part. So there's a potential tons of stuff that we have no idea about. So it is always possible that there's a version of Spider-Man in this, but I'm just not counting on it, just because I think they want to wait for something even bigger like Avengers Secret Wars to bring both versions of Spider-Man back. My early theory, if we're talking about deep cuts here, like they want to make big deep cuts to Spider-Man characters, that Deadpool's version of Spider-Man would look more like Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man, just because of the history between the X-Men movies and Sony's Spider-Man movies. I've talked about this in a bunch of previous videos, but a long time ago, in the before time, like in the early days of superhero movies, Fox made that first X-Men 2000 movie, it blew up, became super popular, Wolverine became a super popular character. Sony was about to make its first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, and they agreed with Fox, like the lawyers actually agreed, surprisingly, because they never do, to have that version of Wolverine with Hugh Jackman cameo in that first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. But on the day, there was a problem with the Wolverine suit, like that black leather suit, and I think he said the suit was broken or the suit didn't arrive in time, so they just decided to not film the cameo because apparently they wouldn't film it if he wasn't wearing the suit. So I think because back in the day, they planned to canonize his version of Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, to the original X-Men universe. If we're going to be referencing a big version of Spider-Man during this, I think it would be Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It would just make more sense for it to be him. There's so much other stuff going on during the trailer too. So just starting at the beginning of the actual trailer, you see Deadpool walking through those woods with the snow. There's been a lot of theories about where these woods are. Like, is it the woods from Avengers Age of Ultron, or is it the woods from the end of the Logan movie? Supposedly there's going to be some Wolverine variants during this, and one of them is like a zombie version of Wolverine. So either he goes to a zombie Earth, like a Marvel Zombies version of Earth, or he literally digs up a version of Wolverine's bones in this. Because it looks like during one of these scenes, he's fighting the TVA characters with one of Wolverine's bones, which is coated in adamantium. But a lot of this first part of the trailer sounds like the conversation that they have in that diner where he's trying to appeal to him. Like, it's much more earnest conversation where he's trying to get real with him about why he needs his help so much and how much everybody looked up to him as being like the biggest, most important X-Man. On my world, you were the X-Man. Dropping a whole lot of F-bombs during this too. While he's talking to him, though, they cut a bunch of other trailer scenes with it, too, from completely different parts of the movie. So in this landscape scene, we actually see a pruned version of Asgard, of all places, over on the right here. My guess is that will be the key to them doing a bunch of Thor-based cameo scenes, like cameos from people in the Thor movies. During a lot of the early TVA scenes in the movie, it seemed like he had a cameo scene with Thor, but the version of Chris Hemsworth Thor seems like it was from Thor the Dark World, and they just photoshopped him into that scene. They didn't shoot like a totally new scene with Chris Hemsworth. But if we're getting a full-on version of Asgard during the movie, it just feels like we're going to get a version of Thor variants or some Thor characters in this movie. You remember this is The Void, and during Loki Season 1, they had a big joke about how the character who wound up being pruned the most across all the multiverse, all timelines, space and time, was Loki himself. So there are more Loki variants than any other type of character on The Void just in general. I don't know if we're supposed to see a version of the God of Stories Loki in this movie, though, just because there's a scene later in the trailer where everything turns into spaghetti, which looks exactly like something we saw during Loki Season 2. We'll get to that part, but in this Asgard scene, in the distance, you also see this downed giant space station from the previous Marvel movies as well, too. Kind of looks like there's a couple things in the background, like this giant downed space station, but also what looks like a sailing tall ship. We get a larger version of that standoff scene in front of the 20th Century Fox logo. I've already talked about the 20th Century Fox sign in the whole joke about Kevin Feige eventually recasting everyone, making all the Fox Marvel movies completely irrelevant. But in the context of the movie, we'll see what the reason that this 20th Century Fox logo was actually pruned. It's a bit of a meta joke, but also in universe, there has to be a reason for it to have been pruned. We see that they polished the special effects, and in the background of this fight, you see a downed S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. There was also a helicarrier during the first Deadpool movie, too. I remember people went crazy when they saw that, like, what's going on here? Is this taking place in the MCU? How are they explaining everything? Because this is The Void, and we know this is an MCU movie, it's way easier to explain its presence in this movie. This is actually a really interesting scene that I think that we've seen parts of before. In the tunnel here where he says, I waited a long time for this team up. Obviously, he's talking to Wolverine. But I think this tunnel scene is connected to that turn off your phones funny scene that they released a long time ago that they've been playing in front of all movies just in regular theaters.
So I heard Secret Wars is finally going to introduce... You get reception down here?
I don't have a phone.
It's coming from out there.
That big scene where Wolverine winds up breaking the fourth wall and they make all the Avengers Secret Wars jokes. Because we're getting this tunnel scene, that also makes me think that we get most of that turn off your phone scene in the actual movie itself. It was kind of hard to tell if they just did that for fun or if it was going to be in the actual movie itself, like they just clipped out part of the movie and used it for the turn off your phones PSA. Also love the fact that they're making all those Avengers Secret Wars jokes. I think this city is meant to be a version of New York City. It starts talking about his original version of Wolverine, and they cut in all the footage of Logan, so I think that's why they're trying to say that Deadpool is canon to the original main X-Men timeline, so a version of Logan happened in his universe at some point. Also love the way they use the Wolverine Origins footage too, meaning that a version of Wolverine Origins also happened in his timeline, like he killed the version of himself, which also led to a lot of theories about why the TVA might be after him. There are references to that, I think, during the first couple minutes of the movie that they've screened for different people publicly. But I think the idea is that the TVA gives him a pass on all the time traveling and Nexus events that he created changing timelines with Cable's time travel device. All because they're way more worried about what Cassandra Nova is doing with all of her stuff. There are a lot of new toys and artifacts from different Marvel movies, big Easter egg things, big powerful things that they reveal in the trailer too. This version of Wolverine is still torn up over his inability to save his world, like whatever his failure was within the context of his history. Part of the idea is that he failed to do something really big. Maybe he wasn't able to kill Dark Phoenix during the events of X-Men 3 in his timeline, or something else on a similar scale. But a big part of his arc in this movie is his eventual redemption. We get a longer scene of Alioth coming to that giant Ant-Man base, and here we also see Cassandra Nova walking around casually while Alioth shows up in the background, which is why I think this is confirmation that she is also controlling Alioth using her powers. We get a close-up of her and her version of Cerebro inside Ant-Man's actual head, like you see his giant dead skeleton. Here's the thing though, during this scene we get voiceover from Wolverine where he talks about Cyclops. We get a Storm and a Beast name drop as well too, making me think that all three of those characters also have cameos in the movie, and that's why he's mentioning them specifically as opposed to the other X-Men characters. We get a longer scene of the convoy driving up in all the different vehicles based from other Marvel movies and Marvel TV shows. Like I talked about all the tanks from the first Captain America movie, the motorcycles from Captain America, and the cupcake truck from Moon Knight. So it's not just Fox Marvel stuff in this movie. There's a lot of MCU stuff in this too. We get a better look at Ray Park's Toad in the Fantastic Car from the Fantastic Four movies, but here's the thing, it's not the version of the Fantastic Car from the original Fantastic Four movies, it's based more on the original 1960s version from the original comics. Can't really tell who this woman is underneath the mask that's driving the Fantastic Car. You can let me know who you think this is in the comments. While this is going on, they cut in the scene of Wolverine around the campfire talking to this version of X-23 and whoever else is here too, like it's not just the two of them. But he's trying to explain why he always acted so cool, like he didn't ever want to be around, like he was basically pretending he did want to be part of the X-Men. We get a longer scene of Cassandra Nova using her powers of telepathy to mess with Wolverine's mind. It sounds like she's making him see all these dead X-Men from his past. Like all these giant tombstones, I think are meant to represent the dead X-Men that were part of his team that he failed. And this is him just inside his mind space, trapped inside his memories. When Deadpool says he's trying to save his world and it's only 9 people, that's more of a metaphor. It's just the 9 people happen to be on his version of Earth, and he's trying to save that version of Earth. My assumption is this has something to do with what Cassandra Nova is doing in the movie with this device here. We'll talk about this in a second. So here's where we get to the scene where they confirm that this is the Void. So when they're driving with the convoy, in the background of the landscape, you see the Brooklyn Bridge here, but you also see what looks like something being pruned above it and falling to the ground, and over on the left side too, up in the sky, something's being pruned, falling to the ground. Just because of the way they color corrected all the trailers, I mean, they polished the special effects now, the color correction in the previous trailers looked a little bit different, like it looked like a very flat, colorless movie. But it looked different from the way that they color corrected the Loki series, so I think early on, that's why so many people were confused about where this was meant to take place. I always thought that it was on the Void, but it was just a question of them confirming it. That means wherever she originally came from, Cassandra Nova got pruned, and she's just been collecting all these different variants and powerful artifacts, powerful weapons and objects from different Marvel movies. I've already done a bunch of videos about him versus that original version of Tyler Mane's Sabretooth from the first X-Men 2000 movie. Here's where we get that crazy scene of Cassandra Nova down in this basement-looking area here, like the basement of a subway place that looks like it got pruned at some point. All these different spaghetti effects behind her look just like the end of Loki Season 2, with reality sort of unraveling. It looks like she's absorbing some kind of power, so I'm not exactly sure how this device works. It looks like a combination of something from the Ant-Man movies combined with stuff from the X-Men movies. Maybe she's just absorbing things from different universes, and that's what's threatening Deadpool's original universe that he comes from. But I think part of the idea is that she's becoming more and more powerful, and eventually she'll become so powerful she'll be able to destroy all of reality. Like, that's the big threat that the TVA is having that they can't deal with, and why they need Deadpool to go kill her for them. There's a whole bunch of cases over in the background in the corner, too. What's in those cases? What is she cooking? Not exactly sure what the red and blue energy is about, too. They'll probably just explain that during the movie. Some of this stuff is brand new and is not from previous Marvel movies, like it's created for the purposes of this movie. There's a longer version of when Deadpool and Wolverine first get captured by the TVA where you see Alioth showing up in the background. We get that longer X-23 scene. I've already talked a lot about that earlier in the video. The only thing I didn't mention is the fact that she responds to him in perfect English, like at some point she learns perfect English, because you remember during the Logan movie, they had the whole thing about him not being able to communicate with her exactly because she only spoke Spanish. That's because the woman that raised her Hispanic. It looks like she gives him a picture of her with her version of Old Man Logan. and he's meant to be inspired by that original main version of Wolverine. Because the whole thing with the Logan movie is it's meant to take place in the original X-Men universe, so it's like the original main version of Wolverine that he used to play in all the different movies. We get a longer scene of them running out into the portal as Alioth is coming so they don't get eaten. The interesting thing that Ryan Reynolds also posted on his Instagram is that Cassandra Nova has a sling ring with 2 Infinity Stones in it, the Reality Stone and the Time Stone, meaning that she's the one that probably opens that portal and they could wind up anywhere. There's another scene where they fall through the portal and it's a totally different version of Earth, like Deadpool's original universe, and they have that funny moment with that other family where he says that Disney brought Wolverine back, they're going to make him do this until he's in his 90s. Very meta because Marvel, Kevin Feige is also bringing this version of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, back for Avengers Secret Wars, maybe even more movies after that too. So they probably will make him do this until he's in his 90s. We get a scene of him taking Wolverine back to his apartment with Blind Al, and she's joking about needing more coke and getting the shakes. Like, it's been a long time since I had my fix. I need to have a fix. Then we get a scene that seems like it's meant to be a parody of the portal scene from Avengers Endgame with the Deadpool Corps coming through a giant portal. Like all these characters behind Lady Deadpool here, who I do think is Blake Lively. All these are meant to be different versions of Deadpool from different universes as part of the Deadpool Corps. They revealed a couple of them. This cowboy version of Deadpool is supposed to be Matthew McConaughey himself in like a really short cameo. We get a much longer scene of them in front of the Rob Liefeld feet store. I mean, obviously Rob Liefeld feet jokes, really great. But during a bigger version of this scene, you see Dogpool running up. Notice the little pouches on her little dog belt. It's a female dog playing the character, but I don't know if Dogpool will be a female dog during the movie. She's also wearing little doggy goggles for some reason too. Don't you wonder how she's able to open those pouches? Like, what does Dogpool keep in Dogpool's pouches? Then we see Deadpool picking up his 2 golden guns, new guns that it seems like he gets from one of those other Deadpool variants. There's so much stuff that they packed into this final trailer. There's a couple scenes that I mentioned from the previous trailer because they released another one just like a couple days ago, so I tried to fit everything into this video. But if there's anything that you spotted, any Easter eggs, references, or secret cameo scenes from this trailer that I didn't talk about during the video, write them below in the comments. Now, like Juggernaut and a lot of that stuff I talked about in my previous Deadpool trailer videos, so there's a lot of stuff that wasn't in this that was in previous trailers. The other really big reminder is that we have Comic-Con next week. They're supposed to be screening the entire movie next Thursday for people at Comic-Con, but that's happening after the movie is released pretty much everywhere in the world, so it's not like people at Comic-Con are going to get to see the movie before everyone else. It's just that they're happy to screen it for free at Comic-Con. If I get a chance to see it early, I'll post my non-spoilery review whenever they let us do that. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'll start posting my big breakdown videos of the post-credit scene, full Easter eggs breakdown for the entire movie. Remember, they've only been screening about 40 minutes of the movie for people to review, but the entire movie is meant to be closer to like 2 hours, so there's like 2/3 of the movie that nobody has ever seen. That is going to have to be one really, really long breakdown Easter eggs video. Make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that, and go see this movie as soon as you possibly can. Do not wait to see this. Jesse Hughley and Nemo Nomad, congratulations, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Captain America 4 trailer video for the tickets. Please email me on my website so I can get your contact details. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. Click here for all my other Deadpool and Wolverine videos, and click here for that new Boys Season 4 finale video, which was total fire. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe and maximum effort.